Welcome to day 10 of our Advent Devotional series. Today we look at the name Bread of Life.
Good morning. Are you hungry? Perhaps you've had breakfast. Perhaps you're not hungry at all. Perhaps, though, there is a deeper hunger in you. Perhaps, a little bit like me, you're hungry for rest. Certainly at this time of year, I am really ready for rest. I just want this treadmill to stop. I just want some peace. Perhaps some of you are hungry for other things. Perhaps the last year has been so hard and there is a hunger, a loneliness, a yearning for depth in relationship, in companionship, for human touch. This hunger and longing inside. Perhaps some of us are longing for change, for a new job, for a new circumstance. But whatever our longing is, our hunger is inside, Jesus is the answer. And we're going to find out this in John chapter 6, where Jesus calls himself the bread of life. Reading the whole of John 6 would be so helpful, and it is a really useful way to really see the fullness of this claim that Jesus makes about himself. So we're going to do together a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, missing out several bits, but a whistle-stop tour of John chapter 6 as we explore this claim of Jesus. So there are thousands of people following Jesus at this point. They've seen him do many healings and miraculous signs, and so they're following him and they're interested in him. And it's at this point that Jesus feeds them all. They are hungry and Jesus feeds them. He has just 2 fish and 5 small barley loaves, and with this small amount of food he feeds thousands of people. Not just feeds them, but feeds them until they are full. And there are leftovers. So even though I'm sure there are times when we've all been really full after a meal and thought to ourselves, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to eat again. Regardless of how full they were, the next day, predictably, they're hungry again. And so they go in search of a bread man. And when they find him, Jesus tells them off. He knows that the only reason that they're following him is because they've had their fill, their bellies were full, not because they've understood the signs that he's done. So he teaches them, do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. And that's from verse 27 in chapter 6. So they asked him, what must we do to do the work that God requires? To which he replied, the work of God is to believe in the one that he sent. So Jesus is saying that to have eternal life, not just a full belly, they must believe in him, acknowledge him as the Son of God, the Messiah, something which all the signs that he's been doing have been pointing to. But they want more. Give us a sign, they say, hoping for more food in their bellies. And what Jesus says next is pretty shocking. He says that he is the bread of life. He himself is the sustainer of life. Essentially, he's God. And what comes next is even more shocking. In verses 49 to 51, he says the following, your forefathers ate the manna in the desert, yet they died. But here is the bread that comes down from heaven, which a man may eat and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Now, if you've come to Jesus with an empty belly, hoping for breakfast, this is pretty shocking. Eat me, he is saying. And that is too much for many people. Jesus is claiming to be God, claiming to give eternal life, and he's saying people need to eat him. As verse 66 tells us, many turn away. All they want is breakfast. But some stay. And And Jesus asks his disciples, "You do not want to leave me too, do you?" And Peter replies, "Lord, to whom should we go? You have the words of eternal life. We believe and know that you are the Holy One of Israel." And there Peter nails it. What Jesus has been saying. He is the Holy One of God, the Messiah, and he has even told them that he will give his own flesh for the life of the world. Peter knew that Jesus gave eternal life, not just as an abstract idea, not just about living and breathing in and out with our breath and filling our tummies, but real life, eternal life. It's not just about what happens when we die, it's about our fullness of life right now. It's more abundant, more satisfying than life as we know it, just existing and breathing. Jesus satisfies our longing, our emptiness, our hunger. The emptiness that feels like loneliness, busyness, hopelessness. No earthly thing can satisfy those longings. We might be full for a moment, but sooner or later the hunger builds up again. So today let us eat of Jesus. Let us satisfy ourselves with all that he has given us. Let us chew on his word as we rest in his presence.
We hope you enjoyed today's devotional. Tune in tomorrow for more in our Advent series.